Chapter 2. The late afternoon sun filtered through the tall iron gates of Shelly's villa in the upscale Sukhumvit district, casting long shadows across the manicured lawn. The house stood as a testament to Shelly's success as a prominent corporate lawyer. 3 stories of sleek, modern architecture with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered views of the private pool sparkling like a blue jewel under the Thai sky. Inside, the air carried the faint, comforting scent of lemongrass and garlic from the kitchen, where the nanny, Aunt Noi, was preparing dinner. 5-year-old Kim sat at the large oak dining table in the living room, her small tongue poking out in concentration as she colored a family portrait with bright crayons. The drawing showed 2 mummies holding hands with a little girl between them, one tall figure with dark, straight hair like Shelly's, the other with a warm, playful smile that Kim remembered in fragments from her earliest years. The doorbell rang, sharp and insistent, cutting through the peaceful domestic hum. Shelly, still dressed in her tailored black pantsuit from a full day at the firm, glanced up from her laptop on the coffee table. She had been reviewing notes for a high-stakes merger case, her serious expression etched with the fatigue of single parenthood balanced with a demanding career. Her parents, Ming and Wing, were visiting as they did most evenings to help with Kim, Ming tinkering with some garden tools out back, Wing curled up with a novel on the sofa. The nanny moved toward the door, but Shelly raised a hand. "I'll get it." She opened the heavy wooden door, and the world seemed to tilt on its axis. Pundao stood on the threshold, a worn suitcase gripped tightly in one hand. She looked every bit the woman who had once been the center of Shelly's universe, yet altered by time and unseen trials. Her hair was shorter now, falling in sun-kissed, tousled waves just past her shoulders. She wore a simple white blouse tucked into faded jeans, her posture defiant and shoulders squared as if bracing for the storm she knew was coming. Those dark, expressive eyes that had once drawn Shelly in with laughter and passion, locked onto hers with a fierce, unwavering determination. "Shelly," Pundao said, her voice steady but threaded with deep emotion. "I'm home." For a moment, Shelly couldn't breathe. Then fury surged through her like wildfire, twisting her usually composed features into a mask of anger. "Home? You have no home here anymore. You left us 4 years ago, without a single explanation, without a call, without anything. Get off my property before I call security and have you removed." The words had barely left her mouth when soft, rapid footsteps echoed across the marble floor behind her. "May Pundao?" Kim's voice started tentative, laced with sleepy recognition from old photos and bedtime stories, then exploded into pure, unbridled joy. "May Pundao, you came back! You really came back!" Kim launched herself forward like a small rocket, wrapping her tiny arms around Pundao's legs with all the strength her 5-year-old body could muster. Pundao dropped the suitcase with a thud and immediately scooped her daughter up into a tight embrace, burying her face in the girl's dark hair as tears glistened in her eyes. "My sweet baby, look at you, so big and strong now. I missed you every single day, Kimmy, more than you can ever know." Shelly stood frozen in the doorway, her heart hammering painfully against her ribs. She watched helplessly as Kim's laughter bubbled up, filling the entrance hall with light and hope. "Mummy, please, May Pundao can stay, right? She has to stay with us. We can be a family again like in my drawing." Ming and Wing had appeared in the hallway by now, drawn by the commotion. Wing's hand flew to her mouth in surprise, while Ming's sharp eyes narrowed with a mix of calculation and quiet knowledge. As Shelly's father, Ming had always been the protector of the family, the one with deep connections who had quietly investigated Pundao's sudden disappearance years ago. But he said nothing now, letting the scene unfold. Shelly pinched the bridge of her nose, fighting the wave of emotions threatening to overwhelm her carefully maintained control. "Kim, sweetheart, this isn't that simple. May Pundao can't just—" "Please, Mummy. I want both my mummies together. Pretty please?" Kim held up her crayon drawing insistently, the paper crinkling in her excited grip. The family smiled under a lopsided rainbow, hearts drawn floating around them. Shelly's jaw tightened until it ached. She couldn't wage this battle in front of their daughter. Not when Kim's eyes were shining with such desperate, innocent hope. It would break her heart. "Fine," she said through gritted teeth. "For tonight only. The guest room. We will talk about this properly tomorrow, like adults. Pundao set Kim down gently, but kept one protective hand on her small shoulder, her gaze never wavering from Shelly's. I'm not here for just one night, Shelly. I'm here for my family, for our daughter, and for you, whether you want to admit it or not. You forfeited any claim to this family the day you walked out without looking back. Shelly hissed under her breath, as Kim excitedly dragged Pundao inside by the hand, already chattering non-stop about her toys, her new swing set in the garden, and the drawing she wanted to show her. The evening unfolded in a tense, fragile politeness, all for Kim's sake. Dinner around the large table was a minefield of forced smiles and careful conversation. Kim insisted on sitting between her two mummies, demanding stories from my Pundao's big adventure far away. Pundao crafted vague, light-hearted tales of life in Australia, vast beaches, strange animals, and odd jobs, carefully skirting any mention of the darkness that had consumed those years. Shelly ate in near silence, her fork scraping sharply against the porcelain plate, her appetite non-existent. Her parents exchanged subtle glances across the table. Wing reached out once to squeeze Pundao's hand under the table when Kim wasn't looking, a small gesture of quiet support. After dinner and bath time, during which Kim demanded that both mummies read her a story together, Shelly finally led Pundao upstairs to the guest room on the second floor. It was a spacious, elegantly appointed space with neutral tones, its own ensuite bathroom, and a large king bed that had only ever hosted occasional visitors or family. This is where you'll sleep. Do not touch anything else in this house. Tomorrow, we discuss custody arrangements through lawyers, like civilized people. Pundao leaned casually against the doorframe, arms crossed over her chest, that familiar, playful smirk tugging at the corners of her lips. Civilized? That's rich coming from you, Shelly. We were never exactly civilized in the master bedroom down the hall, were we? All those nights. Shelly slammed the door shut in her face, the sound echoing through the hallway. Work the following day was a relentless blur for Shelly. Meetings with demanding clients, depositions that required her full sharp focus, and endless emails about mergers and acquisitions. She threw herself into the high-pressure world of corporate law as a shield against the chaos waiting at home. Her phone buzzed mid-afternoon with a photo from Kim, her and Pundao building an elaborate blanket fort in the living room, both grinning widely. The message, typed with grandparents' help, read, "We are so happy now. Come home soon, Mummy." By the time Shelly's sleek Mercedes pulled into the driveway that evening, exhaustion clung to her like a second skin. She wanted nothing more than a glass of chilled white wine, a long hot bath, and the solitary comfort of her own bed. Instead, what she found upon entering the master bedroom made her blood boil instantly. The door was slightly ajar. Pundao's suitcase lay open on the floor. Her clothes, some familiar favorites from years ago mixed with newer, simpler pieces, hung neatly in the walk-in closet right beside Shelly's collection of tailored suits and blouses. Toiletries were arranged on the bathroom counter. On the nightstand that had once been Pundao's, a framed photo of the three of them from Kim's first birthday smiled back at her. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Shelly stormed into the room, her voice low and vibrating with barely contained rage. Pundao stepped out from the closet, holding one of Shelly's favorite silk robes as if appraising it. She was dressed in a loose tank top and comfortable shorts, her hair still damp from a recent shower. A playful challenge sparkled in her eyes. "Unpacking, obviously. We're still legally married, Shelly. No divorce papers were ever filed. This is our marital bed. I'm entitled to sleep here right next to my wife." "You are entitled to absolutely nothing." Shelly grabbed an armful of Pundao's shirts from the drawer and began shoving them aggressively back into the open suitcase. "Get your things out of here right now. This is my room, my space. You gave it up." Pundao moved quickly, catching Shelly's wrist in a gentle but firm grip and pulling her closer. The familiar scent of her skin, soap and something uniquely Pundao, stirred unwelcome memories. "I never stopped thinking about you, about both of you. I stayed away because I believed it was the only way to protect you and Kim from everything that was happening. I didn't want you waiting wondering, living with uncertainty and pain. But I'm back now, and I'm fighting for us. Shelly yanked her hand free, her chest heaving with the force of her emotions. Protect us? By vanishing without a trace? You don't get to waltz back in here after 4 years and claim everything like nothing happened. Their argument escalated in heated whispers and sharp gestures, both women acutely aware of Kim sleeping peacefully just down the hall. Pundao remained relentless, teasing and dodging every attempt Shelly made to repack her belongings. Come on, my serious lawyer wife, make your best argument. Tell me why 2 married women who still share a legal bond can't share the same bed after so long apart. Because one of them disappeared and left the other to pick up every shattered piece alone, Shelly shot back. The back and forth continued until Shelly's resolve cracked under exhaustion. Fine, sleep in here if it means that much to your delusional sense of entitlement. I'll take the couch downstairs. She snatched a pillow and blanket from the bed and stormed out, descending the stairs with heavy footsteps. The living room sofa was luxurious for guests, but far from ideal for her tall frame after a grueling workday. She had just stretched out and closed her eyes when the soft patter of small feet approached. "Mummy, why are you sleeping down here on the couch?" Kim rubbed her sleepy eyes, clutching her beloved stuffed elephant tightly to her chest. Shelly sat up immediately, forcing a warm, reassuring smile onto her face, despite the turmoil inside. "Oh, my love, May Pundao is still adjusting after her long trip. She needs the big, comfortable bed tonight to rest properly. Mummy is just having a little adventure camping out here like in the stories. Everything is okay. Go back to bed now." Kim seemed mostly satisfied after a long hug and a kiss on the forehead, though she lingered for an extra moment. Once her daughter's footsteps faded back upstairs, Shelly let out a deep, weary sigh. Pride wouldn't allow her to explain the real reason. She trudged back up to the master bedroom, closing the door behind her with a soft, resigned click. Pundao was already settled under the crisp sheets, scrolling through her phone with the bedside lamp casting a soft glow. She looked up with a victorious little grin. "Wise decision. There's plenty of room for both of us." "Shut up and stay strictly on your own side of the bed," Shelly muttered curtly. She turned off the lamp, plunging the room into darkness, and climbed in fully clothed. She turned her back firmly toward Pundao, facing the wall like an impenetrable barrier. The room fell into heavy silence, broken only by the steady hum of the air conditioner. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Then Pundao's voice cut through the quiet, low and husky, carrying that old teasing lilt that had always undone Shelly in the past. "You know, I remember exactly how things used to be between us. I used to be able to make you forget the entire world every single night. The way you'd moan my name, the way your body responded to every touch. Remember begging me not to stop? Are you becoming impotent now, wife? Or are you just terrified that you might still like it too much if I tried?" Shelly's entire body tensed, a rush of unwanted heat flooding her face and spreading lower. Vivid memories flooded her mind unbidden. Tangled sheets, Pundao's skilled hands exploring her, the perfect way their bodies had always fit together in passion and love. She clenched her jaw so tightly it hurt. "Go to sleep, Pundao, I mean it." Pundao let out a soft, knowing chuckle in the darkness. "You're lost tonight, but I've waited 4 long years. I can be patient a little longer." Shelly didn't dignify that with a response. She lay rigid, counting her breaths and willing her racing heart to slow until sheer exhaustion finally dragged her into a restless sleep. The next morning, Shelly left for the office even earlier than usual, kissing Kim goodbye at the door and deliberately avoiding any interaction with Pundao. In the kitchen, once the front door had closed firmly behind their daughter-in-law, Wing poured fresh coffee for Pundao while Ming joined them at the table. "We need a solid plan," Ming said in his gruff, no-nonsense tone, stirring sugar into his cup. Shelly has always been incredibly stubborn. It's what makes her an excellent lawyer, but it's also keeping her from seeing what's right in front of her. Deep down, she still cares. We all see it. Wing nodded in agreement, her eyes soft with maternal warmth. "Kim desperately needs both of her mothers united. We'll help you, Pundao. Tonight we'll arrange a romantic dinner. Your father and I will take care of Kim and coordinate with the nanny. You focus on setting the table beautifully, lighting candles, and preparing Shelly's favorite dishes. Remind her of the love that's still there." Pundao smiled gratefully, pulling both of them into a heartfelt hug. "Thank you both. Truly. After everything I put her through by leaving so suddenly, I don't deserve your kindness and support. You were trying to protect them in your own misguided way," Ming replied, patting her back. "Now it's time to make it right. We're family." They spent much of the day conspiring together. Pundao ventured out to shop for the finest ingredients, fresh seafood, aromatic herbs, chilies for the spicy tom yum soup that Shelly secretly adored despite her refined image, and other favorites from their shared past. Back home, Koi, Pundao's mother, and Thought, her brother, who were staying temporarily nearby to offer support, called frequently. Thought couldn't resist teasing his sister over the phone. "Don't screw this up, sis. Shelly is way out of your league with her fancy lawyer life. You better make her knees weak again like the old days or I'll never let you live it down." By evening, the villa was transformed. The dining table was set intimately for two with fine china, fresh flowers, and flickering candles. Soft, romantic music played subtly in the background. The house smelled divine, filled with the rich aromas of home-cooked Thai fusion dishes. Kim had been tucked into bed early, thrilled by her grandparents' promise of a special mummy night with extra stories the next day. Shelly arrived home later than planned, briefcase in hand, loosening the top button of her blouse as she climbed the front steps. To her mild surprise, Prim, the persistent neighbor from 2 villas down, was waiting there with a chilled bottle of expensive wine and her usual predatory, confident smile. Prim was tall and stylish, with sharp cheekbones and an unrelenting determination to fill what she saw as the empty wife role in Shelly's life and become Kim's new mummy figure. "Another long day at the firm, counselor?" Prim purred, stepping closer and tilting her head flirtatiously. "You work too hard. I thought we could unwind together with this. And Kim could really use a steady new mummy in her life. I'm wonderful with children, you know." Shelly, drained from the day and still simmering from the previous night's tensions, didn't immediately shut it down. Then the front door swung open. Pundao stepped out onto the porch, still wearing a domestic apron over her clothes, looking every inch the devoted wife reclaiming her territory. Her eyes narrowed dangerously at the intimate scene unfolding on the steps. Irritation sparked into deliberate petty revenge within Shelly. She let a slow, rare smile curve her lips as she leaned slightly toward Prim. "You always seem to know exactly how to make a difficult day feel better, Prim. Maybe we should—" That was the final straw. Pundao exploded into motion. She lunged forward and grabbed Prim firmly by the hair, yanking her backward away from Shelly. "Get your hands and your intentions away from my wife, you shameless flirt. Touch her again and you'll regret it." Prim shrieked in shock and outrage, swinging her arms wildly in retaliation. "Who do you think you are, you crazy woman? Let go of me this instant!" Chaos erupted. The 2 women tumbled down the wide front steps in a whirlwind of pulled hair, scratches, and flying insults. Pundao, hardened by years of unseen struggles, landed a solid slap across Prim's arm. Prim clawed back viciously, tearing at the shoulder of Pundao's blouse. "Stop this right now!" Shelly rushed down the steps, grabbing at Pundao's arm to pull her away. Ming and Wing hurried out from inside the house, adding their stronger hands to separate the fighting pair. Kim, awakened by the commotion despite her bedtime, peeked out from the doorway and burst into delighted giggles. Her laughter rang out clear and infectious, lighting up her face. "May Pundao is fighting for Mummy, just like a superhero in my stories." The neighbor's exterior lights began flicking on one by one, but the physical altercation was quickly quelled. Prim finally stormed off down the driveway, clutching her scalp and hurling curses over her shoulder. "You're both insane. Stay away from me." Once inside, and order had been restored, with Kim calmed, hugged, and returned to bed with soothing promises of more adventures tomorrow. Shelly rounded on Pundao in the living room. Her voice was sharp with fury. "You had absolutely no right to create a scene like that in front of my house. This is my life now, my home. You don't get to play the jealous, possessive wife after abandoning everything 4 years ago." Pundao wiped a small trickle of blood from a scratch on her lip, breathing heavily but standing tall and unrepentant. Her eyes burned with intense emotion. "And you had no right flirting with that woman right on our doorstep, right in front of me. If you're not fucking me anymore, Shelly, then you're not fucking anyone else either. Whores and side pieces are not an option. I am still your wife. Accept it." With that, she turned on her heel and walked purposefully toward the stairs, leaving Shelly standing alone in the living room. Shelly's fists were clenched at her sides, her heart racing wildly with a turbulent mix of lingering anger, a confusing undercurrent of unwanted desire, and the dawning, terrifying realization that Pundao's sudden, forceful return was systematically dismantling every emotional wall she had painstakingly constructed over the past 4 years. Upstairs in the dining area, the carefully prepared romantic dinner sat untouched, the candles burning lower and lower. The fight on the steps had spoken volumes more than any candlelit meal ever could. But the night was far from over, and the battle for their fractured family had only just begun in earnest.